Tonight. These are groundbreaking founders here in the city of Louisville. And they're pouring their heart and souls into creating innovative companies and growth in this state of Kentucky. And innovation cannot thrive in isolation. It needs a community. And that's where each of you in this room comes into play this evening. As you're looking at companies just getting started, they're just beginning their journey right now. So as they continue to grow, let's support these companies, these founders as a community, whether in any way that we can, whether it's financially, spiritually, emotionally. Let's support these founders because it's a lonely and hard journey. So let's make sure that we support these founders in that way. And that really talks about we want to see scalable, growing companies in the state of Kentucky. And that's where I'm excited tonight. That's why this evening's special, where we can bring some past Vogt Award winners and talk about their journey from being on this stage, pitching on demo day, to seeing where the companies are at today. So with that, I'm gonna pass it to my co-founder, Ricky Mason, to introduce our amazing panelists this evening.
Yes. As a 2020 Vogt Awardee, I know the nerves of getting up here on this stage. So you all did an awesome job. Now I have the pleasure of introducing two former Vogt Awardees. I'm thrilled to introduce these stellar entrepreneurs, Raffi Kayat and Jeremiah Chapman. Raffi Kayat is a 2019 Vogt Awardee and the co-founder and CEO of Borderless, a global payments company revolutionizing global payments, making them more accessible, affordable, and transparent. Since winning the Vogt Award under his leadership, Borderless has been honored as the 2021 U.S. FinTech Awards at the FinTech Startup of the Year, the 2022 U.S. FinTech Payments Technology of the Year Award, and the Visa Direct Award. Jeremiah Chapman, a 2015 Vogt Awardee, is the CEO of FreshFry, who has turned waste into a plant-based pod, offering a safe and easier way to replenish and extend frying oil life for the food industry. Jeremiah has been named as a Forbes 30 Under 30 laureate, raised over $3 million, and created partnerships with global brands such as Church's Chicken and Cisco. Both leaders have significantly scaled their companies since clinching the prestigious Vogt Awards, showcasing innovation, resilience, and excellence. Today, we're excited to delve into their journeys and the remarkable growth since winning the Vogt Awards. Welcome.
All right, thank you both for joining this evening. We thought you would be great opportunities to introduce you to this audience and to this cohort of founders. And thinking back from the time you crossed this stage, right, and to where you're at today, give me some insights of how you've grown as founders since you crossed this stage when you won the Vogt Awards.
Do you mind if I answer first? Because it's just, you all did such a fantastic job. I remember when I did my first pitch in front of everyone, I froze. And I thought, oh, I'm gonna get out of this. And I see one person in the crowd just make this face at me. And then my mic went out, and I thought, okay, there's no coming back from that. So seriously, although we've gone pretty far from the Vogt Awards, just seeing where you all are already is just so exciting to me, because one of the things you want to see in a community is that people get to places that you've been faster than you did, so they have that energy to keep going and take things sometimes further than you have. So I'm just really super proud of you all.
For me, coming up to stage on demo day, we didn't even have a product launched. And looking at all of you guys today with traction and customers, I mean, you guys are killing it. And I think this also says a lot about how Vogt has grown and the entire Kentucky community has grown for the level of startups today that are being presented. So congrats.
Now, can you all give us a little bit of context, a little bit of background of where you were when you started Vogt Awards?
Yeah, I probably where I was, I would have been recommended to apply again at a later date with a little more traction, because I had an idea, and so it was conceptual. I was trying to put it together, but the significance of was where we were when we finished the program. We went from an idea to our first customer, which is incredible when you think of what you have to do to start getting in market. So I often think, yeah, I may not have been a winner for sure, but what we did with that time, that's one of the moments I'm just most proud of in the history of the company.
So for us, we were two people trying to build a global payments company. And we didn't have a product and barely a business plan. And by the end of the Vogt Award, we had signed a financial institution partner to take us on. We had a pretty solid business plan, and we started product development. And so the journey was, pretty a big jump. Anything when it comes to payments, there's a lot of big red tape. So really, the Vogt Award accelerated that process for us, put us in the right mindset, and we had a lot of good mentors in that cohort. So we really appreciate Vogt Award for trusting us and giving us a shot.
Yeah, hearing both of your stories and thinking back to the Vogt Awards when you were a part of it, it sounds like it drastically changed the trajectory of your businesses and gave you a lot of great impact and feedback. Thinking through that change, what were some of the key takeaways that really help you get those first customers or help you grow to that funding round?
I mean, for us, we wanted to do everything. We wanted to take on the world, right? And the Vogt Award really helped us is bring that down to something that we can take on, a small little piece to find product market fit, and at that time just build a product. And so that's kind of was a main piece for us for the Vogt Award. And I remember actually while going through the Vogt Award, Jeremiah and I were in the same co-working space back in the days at the park. Yeah. And so it was good. It was cool to see someone else farther along in their journey while we were kind of going through that as well. So, yeah.
For me, the experience was like drinking water from a fire hose. I was just trying to get as much as I could. But one thing that I realized is I was being presented a lot of information that I didn't really have context for, and then I was provided a community that was open to, hey, come back when this makes more sense and you want to talk about it more. So I would say the biggest thing that I was really seeing in the program was not only what knowledge was necessary, but who to go talk to when it became applicable for me.
So when we talk about growth, what were some of the biggest obstacles that, outside of fundraising, we all know that fundraising is the biggest obstacle that we all have, but outside of fundraising, what was your biggest obstacle with growing your business, going from just being you and one other person and growing and building that team? What was your biggest obstacle, and what advice could you give to Vogt awardees as they're growing their businesses?
Probably for me is overcoming internal inertia. Actually, I've found it much more success fundraising when you turn it into a vacuum because you just absolutely need it to continue something that's going well, than something to start, because it's really hard to see over that cliff. So if there's any way to put yourself in a very convictive spot to where I'm here now, I've taken that leap, and I need that to continue this trajectory, that is what has been one of the biggest levers for growth. So it was just switching from I need this to do, and instead switching it to I'm doing, and this will help me continue.
Yeah, I think one of our biggest challenges was trust. And whenever a new product comes to market, people need to trust in you to do X, Y, and Z. And to do that, you need to have the right image, you need to have the right product, the right backing, and you need to know what you're doing and how you're going to present it. And so telling a story is very important. And for founders, they're not good at that. There's very, very few that are. And so that was one of the first things that we had to work on, and we are actually still continue to work on today. And that's one of the things that as founders you need to really focus on. And once you start to do that and you put your head in the game like Jeremiah and you start to go after customers, the investors will follow. Everything else will follow, and that would be pretty easy. And so those are kind of the biggest thing that I would say.
I love that you both alluded to, I had the privilege of kind of working alongside of you both and seeing your teams grow and scale at the park and having a front row seat on that and having a lot of conversations with both of you. Kind of point this question towards Jeremiah, thinking through that moment of that time of building your team, getting some fundraising, and for you, thinking back during COVID, right? I think your business was dramatically hit very quickly. And thinking through that adversity in that moment, you know, give me an insight of when that hit, how you felt, and how did you kind of overcome that obstacle and really see your business ascend after that?
All right, so just to paint a picture, so what we do is we take agricultural scraps, turn them into products that clean frying oil. You basically have a pod you place into the deep fryer, you leave it in overnight, cleans the oil for you. Our core customers are restaurants. So when you think of COVID, you think of how disrupted restaurants were. So we were riding a trajectory. February 23rd, we got a term sheet. March 1st, we lost 99% of our sales. And I was, as you all heard earlier, I like to push, push, push until I create a vacuum and I absolutely need it. It also meant we were running out of cash. I had 3 people on my team, one had a baby, one had one on the way, and I had a potential investor saying, hey, can you reforecast what's gonna happen with this? And you know what? I said, sure thing, absolutely. Let me just go in and then I reforecast, the numbers still look good, and then something else changes to where, you know, now you can't do this. And it was about 3 weeks of that I just realized no one is coming to save me, and my customers do not care what I'm trying to sell them. And that was a huge reality check. So what I did is I thought about what am I really good at, solving problems, spun up an entirely different company in 17 days to simply make sure I could keep the lights on. And what I did with that was all of the other things that I wanted to try and progress and figure out in my business, I just did it in other areas. Let me just learn it, let me make some money on it. And I found out what a true sales cycle looks like, customer-centric, and what do you need, how big is that problem, if it's that big, will you pay me now for it, really flipping the whole cash situation. And since then, we've just taken that methodology and we've doubled every year, and we've put the money to work. And we are continuing to do that. I was just in San Francisco yesterday. What's today? Thursday. Yes. Showing people like what companies in Kentucky can do, and they're just they continue to. I don't know why they're surprised. Like come on. Thanks. But really, what it showed me was when everything is stripped down, what are you made of? What can you push forward with? And where are you willing to be vulnerable, lean in, and then that growth comes after that.
Yeah, I mean, so we launched finally in 2020, and it was in March, and that's when the pandemic hit. And it was 2 years worth of work. We're ready, we're excited, and we're like, hey, we have our customers that we all interviewed, and they're ready and excited for our product. And all of our customers were in the travel space. And so the pandemic hit, we lost 90% of our customers. And they're like, sorry, no one's paying us, so we can't process payments, through you anymore. We don't have anyone to pay out. So Borderless is now a global payment company. We enable companies to pay anyone, anywhere around the world. And so one of the things that we doubled down on is the 10%, is who are those customers that did not leave? And they were actually in the logistics space. And so we started to look at that space a little bit more, and we shifted a little bit our product. And so we were focused a little bit more on bank payment collections versus payouts. And we started with 3 companies, and then suddenly within a couple months, we were at 30, 40, 60. Today, it's over 120. Thank you. And today, Borderless processes hundreds of millions a year of dollars. And so, it was figuring out what's already working and doubling down on it and adjusting, right? That's all we could do at that point in time. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm feeling for you.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like you really needed to tap into your best customer fit at that point, and you were able to really find that, during that moment. And when the faucet was turned back on, can you all talk to a little bit about that? Like, once you actually tuned in on that customer and the faucet was turned back on, how did that help you grow and accelerate to the next level?
Yeah, it really helped us grow because at that moment in time, all of our customers previously were starting to come back, and all of that original product market fit was starting to come back. Now, not 100%, but still, so travel was starting to pick up. And we needed to hire people, and we made mistakes. We hired the wrong people, and that is one of the worst mistakes you could do as a founder. And a lot of founders have probably experienced it, and it's a tough thing to learn. And once you do learn that, you can adapt pretty quickly and set things in place. But you still make mistakes, Even the good times are not high times, right? Running a startup is very hard. So you always have new challenges coming at you.
Yeah, I would say my market turned from one faucet to 50 different faucets in their own rooms in the dark, and you just had to kind of find every single one of them because they all had their own, like one with the hot was on this side. It was really figuring out that our entire go-to-market strategy had shifted. And much like that lesson of you can only look at it for so long before nobody's gonna come and save you, go figure it out. So we shifted our go-to-market. So one of our core customer base, the market that we're really going for and achieving is drastically different. But we also noticed those that we did acquire, we retained for a really long time. The lifetime value is astronomical. So it was really just taking the lesson from that time, which is you can only predict so much and it's going to change. So how dynamic can your go-to-market motion actually be?
Yeah, hearing some of the stories you're talking about and growing and scaling, I think you look through both like network and mentorship has probably been critical in some of your success. Now, how have you implemented mentors or your network in order to make decision-making opportunities during the time of scaling your business?
I would say not the one thing, but a thing that founders should be really bought into is learning how to make good decisions. And sometimes good decisions are just quick decisions with little information and just lowering the downside. And then you learn more as you take that next step. I would say I'm actually not necessarily the most stellar of doing a bunch of mentorship. I almost find an issue that I'm dealing with and just cafeteria as much information as possible to give me some idea of where's this decision going to lie, lower the stakes, make it move forward. And that generally works well. It does not work on the people side as much. I find that on the people side, talking to people and asking people how they work with people is a great way to working with people.
Yeah, I think every founder is very passionate about what they do, but every founder is not good at everything. And you could be good at making product. You could be good at dealing with people. You could be good at sales. You could be good at marketing. You can't be good at everything. And for me, it was key learning to understand that and learn that and try to find help in the areas I wasn't good at. And that's what mentoring is for me. And so try to find someone where they're good and you're not. If you could do that, you will double and triple your output as a founder.
I think, Raffi, I heard you speak about trust. And Jeremiah, you talked about, being a Louisville-based company. How did you build that trust? And both of you have grown internationally. So how did you break out of, being a Louisville-based company and building those relationships to take your company international?
Believe it or not, it was Louisville people. Yeah, so we signed a deal with Cisco both nationally and then their first international partner. And it started from someone who works at the corporate office visiting Louisville because their granddaughter was on the way. And I did my Vogt elevator pitch because we were actually headed to an elevator, which was, like hindsight, it was the corniest thing possible. But it got him interested enough to say, come down to Houston, pitch this team. So it was a beautiful marriage of being based in Louisville, having a unique Louisville experience, because we talked about, said, hey, this company, Mike Lennox uses them, and someone in Louisville was like, oh, I know, that means a lot. And then I did the elevator pitch that I didn't freeze on that one, so it does work in real life, I tell you. And then that's where we got started.
Yeah, for us, we actually were originally in New York, and then we moved to Louisville. And so we had connections in New York, and our product is in nature global. And so as we started to acquire more and more customers, it's naturally touching their vendors, it's touching people globally. And so the product on its own has kind of like a marketing to itself. And that's kind of what led to our growth globally.
Love it. Well, as we close out, I talked to many of these founders prior to this event and just talk about the journeys you all went through, and many of them did not know you. So I appreciate you all sharing your journeys, and it's important for this founder community to have that peer-to-peer connection. And so I would like you to give like a 30-second, 60-second answer of what piece of advice will you leave these founders and their journey?
Well, first, I want to thank you both for having us here. I think this is great, and I want to thank Henry and the Vogt Foundation overall for believing in us at a first start for us to be at the stage we're at. I think the number one thing is if you have grit, it means the ability to just not give up. I mean, Jeremiah lost 99% of his customers running out of funding, and all of his staff have bigger things to deal with, and he's like, I'm still gonna go through this. We lost 90% of our customers. We barely got our first financial partner, and we still were like, you know what, hey, we're still gonna go through it. If you have that grit and that passion and the ability to keep learning and growing, you guys will be successful.
That was great. Thank you. And I would say to you all, markets shift. So when they shift, plans can go extremely well or they can go absolutely in the toilet. So use that to your advantage. And if you understand something, push and go for it. Because if it turns in your favor even more, then you're already ready. If it shifts, then you already know how to grow in a market, and it just changed. So the thing that I just want to leave you all with is you'll have annual plans, but it really dials down to the day, week, month, if you're lucky, and that's where the war is really won.
Jeremiah, Raffi, thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.